One of the first questions I got when I started probing 4 questions for this Q&A was, why the phrase, "Carbs are for cowards"? I'm going to use an analogy. The analogy is reading versus watching TV. They are both sources of gathering and collecting and processing information, just as fats and carbs are sources of energy. Reading is slow and takes a lot of learning right up front. Watching TV, but just watching, is inherent. It just happens like that. It takes no effort. It's easy. In some sense, we could compare that easiness, that very easy digestibility of information and stimulus, to the preferential nature of carbohydrates. They talk about how sugar or glucose or carbs are the brain's preferred energy source, the body's preferred energy source. Well, what does that word preferred actually mean? In dietary terms, or in human biology terms, when a molecule is preferential, it just means that the structure of that molecule is faster acting, it's better absorbed, it just fits in quicker. Other things are on a gradient of being more or less preferred. Your body can use most things, but just some things faster. So fats versus carbs, most fats take a little bit longer to process and deliver and break down before they can be used as fuel. Most carbs get processed a lot quicker just due to their structure. That's why they're called preferred. So the term preferred energy source is a bit misleading. It's not very looked into by most people. So back to reading versus watching TV. If you learn to read, if you become reading adapted, you actually start reading a lot faster. Then you can start processing and breaking down bigger words, your vocabulary expands, your mind expands, you become smarter, and now you can start devouring book after book after book after book. However, your skill to watch things you don't really adapt to watching things. I guess you could become a professional movie watcher and develop a longer attention span to absorb more and more film, or be better at binge watching Netflix. But there really is an art to reading. There are levels of reading, as you were taught in school. And the better you get at reading, the more you can read. So someone embarking on this fat adaptation journey, trying to develop a keto lifestyle, they're like that person who reads kind of slow. However, they're embarking on a very noble path. They're embarking on the path of resistance, whereas embarking on the path of binge watching Netflix is embarking on the path of least resistance. I'm sure you see where I'm getting at. Watching is doing the easy thing. Using something that's preferential, i.e., using something that's easy, is taking the easy way. It is the path of least resistance. In any organism that hasn't gone extinct yet, lives a need for resistance. Without resistance, without conflict, we do not become strong. We do not become tough or resilient. We do not grow. We have nothing for which to adapt, nothing to overcome. Imagine living in an alternate universe where all your life you've been told watching TV is the best way to learn. It's the easiest way to learn. It's the brain's preferred way to learn shit. Just watch TV. Watch everything. When you go to college, you're just sitting and watching TV screens. There's no textbooks, right? And then all of a sudden, some weirdos start piping up saying, oh, but our ancestors, they used to read books. They used to write them by hand. And before that, they used to scrawl their books out in these weird symbols called hieroglyphs or runes or ogham. We've been reading a lot longer than watching things. And actually, all this TV watching is causing all these health disorders. Everywhere from metabolically to in your brain. And then the science started coming out. Very definitive, good science. Irrefutable science. Saying, yeah, TV is going to make you insulin resistant. It's going to lead to type 2 diabetes. It's also been linked to dementia, chronic depression, heart disease, all these bad things. What would you think about that person that was just like, fuck that shit. I can't read. I can read like 2 words per minute, so fuck that. I'm just going to keep watching TV. Fuck this learning how to read business. If I start learning how to read, I'm going to lose all my gains. I know the science is out there. I know it's totally available to me all the time via Google, YouTube, libraries. But I just like this way better. It's just easier for me. And I don't want to spend the time to learn how to get good at reading. And then you watch them reap in this alternate universe, right? You start to watch them develop the signs of chronic exposure to the TV, and they start developing the diseases that are associated with this. And you keep poking and prodding them and showing them, and you know, here's the information. This is all you got to do to get better at reading. Just 1 word at a time, man. You can start at a kindergarten level. There's even pictures and shit. And one day you could read Moby Dick in like a day. You'll be so good at reading. And they're like, no, fuck that. I like watching TV too much, and here's all my reasons that are not even backed by science. What would you think of that person? What do you think is at the root of their resistance at that point, given all the information that they have? I think it's a little bit cowardly. And it's the same way with getting people to reduce the amount of carbs. I don't care if everyone in the world's keto. And I don't care about more than, 50 people in the whole world. The rest of them, fuck them. I don't know them. But the people that I do know, I want them to live longer. I want them to be healthier. I want them to reduce all their disease risk factors. And one of the best things they can do is just limit the amount of carbohydrates they expose themselves to on a chronic basis. Whether that means only carbs on the weekends or maybe only about 100 to 150 grams of carbs a day is so much better than what so many of them are already doing. And just by doing that, not even going full keto, not even really being paleo, would dramatically help them get a better waist to height ratio. If they did blood work, they'd see their triglycerides go down. Their fasting insulin would go down. If they did AC1s, their AC1 would improve. And those 4 data points are very telling on how healthy you are now and how long you're going to live. I don't understand why people are so clingy with conventional wisdom when it comes to exercise, when it comes to nutrition, and when it comes to just basically anything people consider to be common sense. That's why I say carbs are for cowards.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore.